All right, all right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. God bless everybody out there in Jesus land. Listen, what's up? What's happening? What's going on with all of you wonderful people? I am excited. It is Sunday, and I usually don't do a show on Sunday, but we have our health official here, and we'll be doing Sundays. She's going to be a regular guest on the platform on Sundays. And we're going to have a good time. She's just so informative and has so much to share with us that we need her. We need her. And so, you guys, some of you may know who she is. You may not. She is back by popular demand. Popular demand. That's right. And the last time she was on the platform, no one wanted me to end the session. No one wanted to end it. No one wanted to end the broadcast. It was a session, a broadcast, everything all in one. I tell you, on listen, bravo with Sheila, ladies, let's chat. Listen, it's an awesome platform. I must say so myself, because we do so many things, variety of things. We spotlight people, we give information, education. This platform was designed to build women up, to get them to move from pain to power and from power to victory, to encourage them, to enlighten them, to give resources, to educate. It's all about pushing you up on this platform. And it's a platform where we can pick any topic and talk about anything that we choose to talk about, even stuff the church won't touch. And I have to say that all the time because sometimes, we feel like we're boxed in as a believer, and we are not boxed in. We are not boxed in, period. We are here to learn, to talk, to embrace, and to have a chat. And so I'm excited today, tonight, this evening, wherever you are in the world, to bring my niece back to the platform. That's right, she's my niece. You guys know that I brag on my family, especially the young ones coming up the ramp, coming up, breaking the ceilings and making their ceilings their floors. I tell you, and that's exactly what she's doing. And so I want to bring her to the platform, and she's not a stranger. You better get used to her face and who she is, because she'll be back over and over and over again. So welcome to the platform, my dear niece. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let me see if I have too much volume going on. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you well.
No feedback?
No feedback.
No feedback. I think this mic might be let's keep it right there. Yes, yes, yes. So, welcome back, Ashley, therapist Ashley Agee. Welcome back to the Bravo platform. I'm so excited about what we're going to chat about tonight. It's going to be an awesome conversation, an awesome chat. You helped so many people the last time you were on. They kept talking about it, saying, oh my God, that was such a powerful, powerful, powerful conversation, a powerful chat. The chat was on fire. The chat was lit with questions and comments, and you had a lot of support. And so we're going to get into it now. I want to open up with our intro real quick. We'll play a couple of commercials or promos during the broadcast. But right now, let's go right to this. Dun, 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 dun. We are back. We are back. Listen, those of you out there, this is not an interview. This is a chat. That's why we have a chat. So those of you that on the perimeters out there peeping in and don't want no one to know that you're here, come on over to the chat and let's have a conversation. Let's chat with Miss Ashley and have a good time tonight with the topic that we're going to be talking about tonight by popular demand. The therapist Ashley Agee. We're talking about dark nights, mental battles. Ooh, 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 ooh. Dark nights and mental battles. And we're going to talk about three particular areas. I know it's loaded. It's loaded in here tonight. And we're going to talk to you women I want you to get inside of this chat. I want you to ask questions. I don't want you to feel embarrassed. Just embrace the information, right? Embrace the information. So let's talk about some things, niece. Let's talk about some things so folks can get involved with it. Those of you who have just tuned in and have never been here before, please hit that subscribe button and please give me a thumbs up. Listen, trying to get to 200. All right, I'm moving in these YouTube streets, and just give us a thumbs up tonight. And if you want to, you later on, you can go to my banner and buy me a coffee. You'll see a yellow cup on my banner. I'll also put the link down later where you can buy me a cup of coffee, 2 cups, 3 cups, whatever you want to do. Just buy me a coffee. And so let's get into it, Miss Ashley. Let's talk about some things. How have you been?
I've been well. I've been well.
Yeah, what have you been doing? Tell us. I saw you were on a platform the other day. You talked at a conference or some type of event. What
Yeah.
type of event was that?
It was a health fair event, and it was to provide resources to the community for surrounding anything that had to do with health, ranging from mental health, physical health, even providing access to places where you can work out, like gyms and things like that. So it was
Oh,
just giving the community access and resources to places to keep your health intact.
that's awesome. Yeah, I saw you. I was like, okay, all right, she's doing her thing, and God is really using you to give information to so many people. I know that there are different people that tried to contact me to talk to you, and I don't know if we gave them the information. I still don't have a person in the chat. Oh wow, here's Ine. You remember her? She was here before.
Yes.
Yes, she's a sweet sister. Bless you, Ine. Thank you so much for being here. She says,
Right.
"Hey, at Bravo with Sheila." She's always here to support. She's such a peach. She is such a peach. And so, yeah, I see that you have been doing a lot. You have been speaking and working. And what ages do you usually work with? Do you work with teens? Do you work with middle school and adults? What's your range?
My range is adults. I don't work with children and teens, but
Mhm.
18 and up. I would say my main niche, that like the common number that I'm seeing right now, are people ranging from their mid 20s to late 30s, and a few older adults over the age of 40.
Mm, yeah, it's an interesting work. And I
Mhm.
know, I've been in the health field for a long time. I'm not doing it full time now, but I used to do it endless hours. Health field, from outreach and homeless, being their case manager, getting them to become, independent, taking them even to the supermarket, showing them how to shop. You'd be surprised the tools and the resources that people don't have, not just people with total mental health issues, but people in general, especially the homeless population. I love. I have a special place in my heart for the homeless. I mean, we would be under bridges, we would be in tunnels, we would be at JFK Airport, LaGuardia. There would be people coming from different states that their family was supposed to meet them at the airport, and for some reason they didn't. And these people came to relocate to New York with their family members. The family members is totally flat out, didn't get them, and immediately what? They became homeless,
Wow.
right? And we had to get them in the shelter system, and it was crazy. There were moments where if someone would receive them back, they would we would give them a plane ticket, but most times they didn't want to go back for whatever reason. I've seen people, corporate people, to get very sick, go in the hospital, and don't have family here in this state, and lose their apartment and their job, and boom, they became homeless. So this stigma about everyone being in one basket, that become homeless because you're a drug addict or you're this and that. We have to stop putting labels on people, because we said in that business, you one paycheck from being homeless, right? And so we're in the no judgment zone here, and that's why I like bringing you on to chat about, our family period is involved with lives of people, right? My mom, oh my God, forget about it. Your father, right? I mean, we're just in the grain. We're in the grain. And I think, that's so important to be able to wear several hats. Of course, we know I'm a professional singer and all that stuff. That's my first gift. I can't even put a number on it. It's just a heartbeat. That's my passion, which led to my purpose, I'll say, right? Because I don't think anyone with a gift of music, art, or whatever, I don't think it ever goes away. Even though you get older, it just never goes away because it's inside of you. So the passion to work with people, to help people, to chat with people about their mental health and the barriers that they're facing in their lives is so very important. And especially women, this is not just a platform for women, but it's designed for women. Men have been coming into our chats, and they can testify to that. She's been here and men will pop up. And so I'm just so excited tonight, and I'm glad that you'll be back on Sundays, where we'll have, we talked about you being a regular to talk about mental health. And I'm excited about that because you are the therapist. I am the clinical counselor, but you are the therapist. And so you see all them letters behind your name, they mean something. They're not there just to be cute. They're there because you went to school and you did the work, right? So people can trust what you do. So tonight we're talking about emotional triggers, the PTSD and postpartum blues / postpartum depression. Let's jump into the postpartum depression. And I know that there's a difference between the baby blues and the postpartum depression. And I'm gonna let you just jump into that because I know that the postpartum depression is not across the board. I'm reading something that says some new moms experience a more severe, long-lasting form of depression, where there's some that new moms experience postpartum baby blues after childbirth. Let's start from the beginning of this. So I didn't have that postpartum, but you know what? Maybe you could have it and don't know it. Maybe you're suffering with it and don't know it. Jump into this lane for a minute and talk to the women about postpartum blues and postpartum depression.
Okay. Well, postpartum depression is more based around anxiety, mania, panic, severe mood changes, sometimes extreme anger, and it can last for a long time after the baby is born. And it's a lot less easier to notice, I would say, if you haven't experienced it before. It's just a little bit more serious than the baby blues. The baby blues is surrounded more around your hormones changing. So after you have the baby and the placenta is out, your levels are off. So you immediately come down, and that could trigger baby blues because you're kind of off.
But are you also off? Are women off also, like when we're carrying babies? Our whole balance and chemical, does it start actually in the pregnancy where all of these imbalances happen?
With the increased estrogen and all of that, it all plays a role. And it's funny that you were asking about that because now they do something in the hospital where after you have the baby, they offer the baby to you immediately. They don't wash the baby. They don't weigh the baby.
Really?
They give the baby to you immediately. And if you're like, no, not right now, that's like a red flag telltale sign that you're not trying to bond with the baby and there's a possible trigger of baby blues. But if you're like, you want to feed and you want to hold the baby, then
wow.
you're in a safe zone. But they have different monitors where they can determine whether or not you're experiencing baby blues.
Actually, that's new. I've never heard that before. Let's see what Ine is saying. She's saying, love your step and repeat, sign in the back. Yeah, absolutely. She's a young one, but she's done the work. She's done the work. Thank you for that. Oh my goodness. As you say that, I just got a backflash, right? I never held my children when right after birth.
Oh, wow.
Number one, I was young with my first daughter, very young. I had a very, very hard time, hard labor, really bad. It was crucial. And I was so young. My body was not designed to have children at that age, right? I had not had my whole growth thing going on, not just physically, but my frontal lobe, my brain, all of those things. it had not, so I got interrupted greatly in my youth. With my second daughter, it was an emergency C-section. My anger was, I've been at the clinic every month, and how could you not detect that I was going to have a C-section? Well, the doctor said to me, well, you should have had a C-section with your first daughter because your pelvic is too small to deliver. So how did they not notice that when I struggled with my oldest daughter, that I went through all of that because my pelvis was too small? So I heard that once you have one C-section, you have to have C-sections going forward. So it was weird that I had my first C-section after my first daughter. And then lo and behold, 15 years later, I have another daughter, another C-section. Of course, they gave me a date to come in for that. But then I almost died having her, right? I lost all this blood, had to have a blood I mean, it was all these things. So I've never had, and I remember with Dee having her and being so sick, and Linda, your aunt, coming in, staying with her, feeding her, taking care of her because I was deadly ill. And they had left all this placenta and stuff inside of me. So I was slowly dying. Slowly dying. And so the nurse was trying to keep me down, and I kept saying, no, for some reason I wanted to get up. No, you're too sick. I'm glad I pushed her away, because as I stood up, all this stuff came out of me that was killing me. So they messed up big time. So my pregnancies, you see the dynamics of everything from carrying them traumatic. So I never held. So you're telling me nowadays, when you have a baby, the psychological system now has put this in place that they will attempt to give the mother the child to see the response from mother to baby.
And then they don't watch the baby for 24 hours. But during that time, they're like, they're checking in on you constantly, but not only checking in on you, seeing how you're, bonding with the baby, how you're responding and things like that.
Wow. That's different. Okay. So it's a wonder why I didn't have postpartum blues.
Right. And you
probably might have had it and I ignored it.
And not known.
I might have had that and not even known. Now that you're saying that, my behavior, I was very depressed, but I was also depressed because I lost my mother while I was pregnant. So I had all of these different layers, and I never thought about it like that, related to myself. That's what we counselors and therapists, that's why every counselor needs a counselor and a therapist needs a therapist. We all need somebody to talk to, right? Okay, so postpartum. Okay, so keep telling us more about this.
So I think the baby blues is also easier to move past if you have a support system. So me and a friend were just talking about this, how everything starts at the beginning when you find out you're pregnant. Depending on your situation, are you in a healthy relationship? Are you happy? Are you supported? Are you stable? Are you concerned about anything? And then the baby gets here, and are those things still in place? If not, contributing factors can cause you to go into depression and to postpartum depression and experience sadness and anger and resentment towards other people, just because of contributing factors. So,
wow,
I would just say postpartum is an intense baby blues and lasts longer and experiences more with diagnosis.
Wow. So the postpartum. Hello, Eddie Ingram. Thanks for being here, Eddie Ingram. He's on Facebook. Say hi to your dad.
Hey, Dad.
So postpartum blues can segue into postpartum depression, but then also postpartum blues can just go away after a couple of weeks and it don't segue.
And postpartum depression doesn't have to start immediately. So postpartum blues can start a little bit after. Postpartum depression can happen 5 months later.
Wow. God bless you, Sir Hale. Thank you for being here. We're having a good convo here. Thank you for being here, sir. Yes. So many women have this and don't know it. Many women struggle with this and don't know that they're dealing with either the blues or the depression. So it might have started out the gate with postpartum blues, right? And you just think, oh, I just don't feel well. I'm tired because I had a baby, this type of thing. But in reality, the mental chemicals, all these things that you say that haven't bounced back in a woman,
Mhm.
right, affects. And then you said the other piece to that is the support you had prior to and during your pregnancy. Were you depressed during pregnancy? Were you depressed? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think people may be more aware now just because mental health is talked about more, and some people aren't. So I hear women now saying, I'm going through postpartum, and
Mm.
they can acknowledge I'm experiencing sadness. I'm not really bonding with my baby, but I'm also not bonding with the dad or
Yeah.
that goes into it.
You can identify things now. I mean, it seems like I'm so old and antiquated because I mean, some of these things that you're telling me, well, the system and time has changed anyway. And the fact that you tell me now, they don't even wash the baby now. They take the baby out, they give the baby to the mother just to see how she'll respond to receiving the baby.
You keep the baby for about an hour before they take the baby away and feed the
I've
baby.
never heard that before,
Mhm.
ever.
And then they're saying that stuff that's on the baby is healthy
Yes,
for the baby. So
yes.
now they are like leaving it on longer. But
Wow.
some women are tired and just don't want to hold the baby right then. But
So
society,
Hell says, hello, therapist.
hello.
He's a very nice man. I listen to his broadcast every morning. At least I try to every morning. So before you leave, I want you to go to his page and subscribe
Yeah.
and give him a thumbs up. He's really a nice man. He has great content. So I'll remind you. I'll remind you. Yeah. So this is incredible information.
Mhm.
So I understand that. Okay. So some of the things that you mentioned about this is anxiety, irritability, sadness, reduced concentration, right? Even
Mhm.
trouble sleeping.
Yes.
Wow. And women, we go through a lot of these things and don't even know mood swings. Because I've
Mhm.
heard a lot of men say, "Oh my God, my wife is a trip. I can't even deal with her. Oh my Lord." And because we're not educated, we don't understand. It may be a postpartum blues, not necessarily postpartum depression.
Yes. Yes. That is correct.
That is something. Withdrawal. I'm reading something that says the depression symptoms are the withdrawal, don't want to go out, don't want to get up, don't want to do anything. And this is really serious because a lot of women suffer with postpartum depression,
Yes. A lot. So many.
but they don't even know it. How about the women that have kids and they're going through postpartum depression and they hurt the baby? Like, stop crying, da 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 da. I mean, we've seen commentation on that. We've seen movies that they've made about women, smothering the baby or doing something crazy because they can't take the crying. Wow. These are signs people need to recognize.
It is. And I think it's if people were more informed.
Yeah.
For example, just a moment of transparency. I'll use my husband. I'm a new mom again after 14 years. And I think I had to adjust back to everything just being with the newborn. And because my husband's mom was in his ear and supportive, like, hey, make sure you're checking on Ash, make sure you're seeing how she's
Uh-huh.
doing. And so whenever Jade would be up crying sometimes and she wouldn't stop, he would check in, like, are you okay? Do you want me to help you? So I think that piece, that supportive piece, helps
Helps.
keep the other person in tune. Also, like, if someone doesn't have anyone, I think it's easier for them to do dangerous things when they're not in their right mental because you
Right.
need one checking in. Do you need help? How's it going? It's okay for the baby to cry a little bit.
Yeah.
Baby down in the bed, walk away for a few minutes, let the baby cry, come back.
So
Keep going.
when you see signs like that, what would you tell to a woman or a family member? How do you help someone that's going through either postpartum blues or postpartum depression, like, what do you do if someone doesn't want to talk to a counselor? What do you say to a person? I know we have numbers, and I know from your business, your office, we can supply numbers and everything as you continue to be on the platform on these Sundays, right?
Yes.
But what do we do? How do we help?
I would say, as a friend, just doing it and not asking them, do you need
Ah,
help? Hey, let me take the baby for you. Go take a shower. Go rest. Let me help you with the baby. Um,
yeah,
I've noticed that a lot of people ask, and sometimes people are not geared to ask for help. So if you or know this person is a single mother, she's used to being independent, it's going to be challenging for her to reach out for help.
yeah,
But if you see someone in a moment of just vulnerability and going through things, just do it. I think that's the best advice I can give. Just help. Help them,
yes.
jump in, give them some relief.
Yeah, because even as you're still very young, right? And today, young girls are popping out babies and still hanging out and still twerking and no pun intended, but that they're focused. They don't want to give up their life, right? Because of they haven't matured and now they're pregnant, and so they have to segue through a lot of different things. Let's see what some of our guests in the chat is saying. Sir Hill say, I truly appreciate the conversation. Bravo facilitates. Amen. As a man, this is a fantastic information. Thank you so much, Sir Hill. I'm trying to do my best. I'm trying to do my best. Thank you for that comment. Here's someone else that says, Raquel says, we as Black women are definitely out of the medical loop to things that can occur when becoming a new mom. I had postpartum with my second child and had no idea until I went in for my 6-week checkup.
So,
Raquel,
Miss Raquel, hi, Miss Raquel.
I'm so glad that you're better, and I'm so glad they caught it, sis. I'm so glad. Yes, this is needed. This conversation is needed because again, men don't even know these signals, right? Because women can be moody anyway, and not have a baby. Men don't have this information to understand, oh, my wife is really she's really not good. She just being or she's not, when we have to read, especially because we already talked about how when you're pregnant, your chemical balance is so off anyway. Your mental is off. Your body is changing. Women have to adjust to how they look. Some of them say, I'm ugly. I'm out of shape. I gained too much weight. It's all these different things going on in a
Yeah.
woman's mind. Am I going to go back to my size? That's why some women that have babies, as soon as they have the kid, they go right hard in the gym for fear. But see, I don't know what I feel about that. Yeah, get your body back in check, but don't let it be a mental stressor to the fact that you think it's so much about your outer body and not about your inside, right?
Right.
Wow, this is good. Hello, Facebook. Hello, Antoinette. How you doing, daughter? You must be doing okay. All right, let's talk about triggers because we all suffer with triggers. You don't have to have been raped or abused or whatever to have a trigger. You could have a trigger. I'll give you a good example. I had moved from North Carolina. I moved back to New York. I was walking across the street and this fool ran the light and ran into me and crushed my leg. You remember that period of my life. I mean, just out of nowhere. I know God was with me because I really should have flew. That's how hard he hit me. But I think that little angel pushed me forward instead of this way. Nevertheless, my whole tibia was crushed, right? I had 3 surgeries. I was off my feet, no weight bearing. Fast forward, I start walking, I'm in therapy, but it changed my whole life.
Mhm.
Being hit by that car to this day, I can never say my life is the same. It is not the same. And for a long time, even still, when I'm crossing the street, I'm like this. I'm checking because the car came from behind me. And anybody like my friends that's with me, they'd be like, walk over here. They don't even say words anymore. They'll just boom, get in on the side of me because they know in my head, even though I didn't say anything, I'm watching these turns. I'm watching these cars behind me. So I'm triggered. I'm triggered by it. Triggers could happen. We have so many silent triggers,
Yes.
right? When my husband got killed, right? Guns, right? Bullets, that kind of thing. Hearing that trigger. right? And these things we live through, some people need counseling for, and some people can get counseling, but they still affect you ongoing. Let's talk a little bit about triggers. Let's see what Ine is saying before we open that up. She said, that's a great idea because if you ask, they may say no, but you see the opportunity to help. Yes, Ine. That is it right there. Because, like you said, a lot of people don't want to ask for help, or they feel embarrassed, or whatever reason, right? So let's talk a little bit about triggers. And I wanted to talk about this because it's a plethora of triggers that people go through.
Yes, triggers. That word is used so freely these days. People like triggered. I'm triggered, and sometimes I want to inform and say, if you're triggered by something, that's you acknowledging that something bothers you. So if you're acknowledging that you allow something to trigger you, what are you doing to work on that trigger? What are you doing to work on decreasing something from triggering you? So in your instance, since your accident, have you been out like a little bit by a little bit, like working your way out?
I had to get to that point.
Yeah.
Because I didn't. Yeah. I did face it because I had my family saying, you have to go out. You have to walk, cross the street. You have, why are you jumping? That kind of thing. But it took a long time because remember, I was down with my leg for years. So I was in a wheelchair. I was in therapy. So that secluded me as well.
Yes. So you were able to.
So in my head,
you're already anxious about when it happens. Like
I didn't want to go. I didn't want to. And you know how they drive in New York, so they don't have no respect for the pedestrian.
I think the way to get past the trigger is to expose yourself to what's causing you to be triggered.
That's what I did.
It's hand in hand with anxiety. If you're fearful of something, what better way to get over it than to expose yourself with it? It's kind of like a kid growing up. I'm scared of the boogeyman under the bed. And then finally one day the parent shows the kid there's nothing under there. Now it's like, oh, I can sleep. Same thing as adults. It's just we have to retrain our brains to remember that, because our negative thoughts will allow us to think that we are really scared of something or something triggers us, when if we work towards it like you have with your incident and the accident, you can overcome it. You just have to express it. But a lot of times people fear their triggers. They don't work with it.
I had it just came up. I counsel women from different states via Zoom or whatever, and of course I had this young lady referred to me, and I was told what her issue was, and she was working. She has children. She's married, but she went to to the chiropractor, and she was on the table, and he was doing the alignment. And all of a sudden, the chiropractor came over, because sometimes they come over you to grab you, to snap your back or whatever. She freaked out. What happened was, years ago, she was molested. She was raped, date rape. Years ago, like 15, 20 years ago. And him coming over her, she spazzed out. It triggered her to the point, because even in that, women and men, because men get molested too, we kind of tuck things away in a little compartment over here in a room inside. We just put it over there and lock it up a little bit. But in order to get free from it, God will cause it to be exposed and cause you to deal with it. She didn't know what to do. And she was really kind of embarrassed to talk about it, because she felt 20 years, but that was her trigger. So now she has to face it and do the work.
Yes.
To get
the only way, even when you brought up children or people being sexually assaulted, a lot of times the only thing that will allow them to forgive is hearing it from the perpetrator. So if you don't ever get that forgiveness, sometimes they can't move past it.
You know what? Boy, I tell you, it's dangerous when a counselor and a therapist get in the mix, because now all these cases, pop up in my head. And sometimes some of the people to help get past these triggers are more difficult than others. The case, sometimes I have to pray, God, this person, I need you to break this, because it's so deeply rooted. you know, and men, I had a young man, and you know, men don't really like to come to counseling or therapy. They, and especially if they was molested, they don't really want to talk, you know, they don't want to talk about this stuff. But this young man, it bothered him so much and so bad. It started getting to the point where he was having not hallucinations, but illusions, and he was picturing it. He couldn't sleep. Plus, he smoked weed. So I said, the weed is not helping you.
Enhancing it.
The weed is not helping. And we counseled and counseled. He was like, oh, Miss Sheila, you helping me. But every time I get with him the next week, he would be texting me or he would slip back. I said, we need to write a letter. We need to confront this person. I have to get you to the point. He says, I said, no, this is going to free you, because they walking around, they're happy, and they messed you up as a kid. They messed you up, son. You're going to have to do something. So I got him to the point to write a letter. I said, write the letter. He's like, oh, and it was a family member that did this to him. So, of course, that's a double whammy. So then I said, then you got to confront this person, because they need to know. But I needed to get him to a place where he was healthy enough where it didn't make him go, you know, crazy. Anyway, long story short, he did it without me. One day he calls me and tells me. I called him. I said, oh, how did that go? I said, make sure you had a support system there with you. And the person was like, I'm so sorry, you know. And I said, how do you feel? He said, that's all I needed to hear. I said, you wanted an apology, because he found out that they had been molested from a family member. Whew, let's see what instead of allowing the individual to process the trauma and then work on ways to cope so that those things don't become triggers. Yeah. And you've gone through it. Yes, yes, yes. And they says, try not to say the word. Use another word. Okay, I forgot. YouTube has these words that I tell you, she's my teacher. She keeps me on track. You know, you have to say when someone deletes their self, you can't say the S word. You got to say they deleted.
Oh, okay.
You can't say, I don't know what word that is.
Actually, assault.
Okay, but yes, I got you. And then you are wonderful. She keep me on point. You have to learn all these rules and laws on YouTube, else they'll block you, they'll fine you, they'll do all types of things, right? Thanks, Ine. So many people in the Black community tend to tell others that they need to get over it.
The Black community, we have a long way to go. We've come a long way, but we definitely have a long way to go when it comes to mental health and how we address our mental health, how we deal with trauma, because, you know, these things are swept under the rug. I can count, there's so many families or people that I know that have experienced trauma, molestation, sexual assault, and because they're told to get over it or because it's not talked about, they can be triggered. And the family member is still around, still attending things, and it's just
okay.
It's so triggering.
It's triggering. She had said hello. Let me see if I missed any of the comments. Okay. So so triggers. There's a couple of things on the trigger list that I wanted to ask you about. Ask the question. So it says, how do I know what my emotional triggers are? So it says a close friend or a relative share some exciting news about themselves. You're happy for them, but you can't you can't help feeling envious. You got all kind of triggers. Like,
yes.
Have you noticed there's someone you follow on social media to whom you constantly compare yourself to?
The trigger.
And this social media thing has come to a whole new level where this social media wasn't a competitive thing back in my day, right? It was like, it is what it is. So yeah, okay, the other person's intention, we don't have to go into that. Let's talk more about triggers. Tell me a little bit more about triggers, because I know there's much more.
So I know that with triggers,
I know the word now, Ine. I figured it out, Ine. I figured it out. Mm-hmm.
So with triggers, if you don't allow yourself to address them and work on them, they can affect you in every relationship of your life, every area. In the past, I've known people to have to be triggered at work, which could cause flashbacks, could cause you just to go into a depression mode. It's a domino effect. And if it's not addressed, it could ruin areas of your life that it had nothing to do with. Ruin relationships,
Yeah.
so much, all because you're triggered by something that you've chosen not to address. And I know I've said this before, but as children, we experience a lot. And then as an adult, it's our job to fix it. And I think the sooner we own that and actually try to work towards
Yeah.
changing things about ourselves, it'll be
Yeah.
easier. But
That's so true. That's so true. Because you know, my word is when nothing changes, nothing changes. It sounds simple, but it's powerful. It changed my life. When nothing changes, nothing changes. Even in a relationship where two people are in a marriage and anything, in any type of relationship, and we're going through something and we just keep going around and around because no one wants to humble themselves, or, you know, pride gets in the way. And I'm not changed. Well, this is my way. We don't always have to be right, right? In order to move forward in something, sometimes you just got to humble yourself and let them say, you got that. You
mhm,
know, I don't have to be right. You can still own what you feel about it. But if somebody doesn't change, then there will be no change. So when nothing changes, nothing changes. So when you change, everything around you changes.
everything, everything.
Yeah, triggers is something you know, the more I thought about it, the more I said there's so many different types of triggers. There are triggers that people think, like I said, it has to be an extreme
Right.
abuse or extreme thing. No, it could be in your personality where you're insecure about something,
Mhm.
and it's a trigger for you to be around somebody else that has more than you, or you just have to keep working on yourself. I just think it's a continuous,
It
you just
is.
have to work on yourself over and over, and face you, be honest with you, right? Reach out for help,
Yes.
because these things snowball into so many other situations.
Mhm.
Wow. Dark nights, mental battles. There are many dark nights in many homes
Mhm.
where people struggle from mental battles that they go to sleep with at night, and they wake up in the morning, and the cycle goes over and over because they won't talk about it, or they try to deal with it by themselves, or they don't really have anyone to talk to, right?
Mhm.
Because there are a lot, look at the seniors, look at elderly who live alone.
Mhm.
What happens to that population of people that don't have a lot of family, or do have a lot of family, or have family, period, and they don't check on their seniors or their elders? The older person becomes alone, and their
Yeah.
life and their mental changes.
Mhm. A lot of the times, they also that population is growing in suicides. Actually,
Oh, can't say that word. Delete.
oh, can't say that word. Okay, in death by
Just say
self.
delete,
Okay, say delete.
where they delete themselves.
Okay, when they delete themselves due to the lack of support that they have or may not have, due to them looking back over their life and regretting not addressing issues, not accomplishing what they should have,
Yeah,
what they should.
yeah.
I'm feeling
That's
like
real.
so. A lot of older adults experience depression, major depression. And when I've met with them, I was working at an agency in the past, working with um, clients who had Medicare, and a lot of them just wanted to talk. I always wondered when our sessions would end, and they were ongoing because they just wanted to talk, even though we
Right.
made once a month or every other week.
Yeah.
Really specifically have anything going on, but just the need to talk.
Yeah, because it's an outlet. I mean, look, your auntie, me, I'm getting older, right? Like your father and I say, and he always says, sis, is more time behind us than in front of us. And when he said, I'd be like, ah, and he was like, no, keep it real, sis. It's more time behind us than in front of us, but it's a reality check.
It is.
That's real talk. Shout out to my brother Eddie on Facebook in the comments. Shout out to Yona in the in the comments. Yeah, it's deep because as you get older, your whole lens changes. You're
Mm-hmm.
seeing through different lenses. Your mind is different. Your thoughts in terms of, you know, and I can speak being transparent, it shifts.
Mm-hmm.
It shifts. And so if you don't stay active or you don't have something going on, you can easily slip into if I coulda, woulda, shoulda. I should have did this. Or
Yes.
why did I do that? And the reality is you can't go back and switch it off or fix it, or you can't do anything with the past. A rear view mirror experience. Can't look backwards. But as you get older, you'll be like, oh man, I wish I would have. There's some things I'd be like, God, I wish I would have did that different. The reflection is so different as you age. Let's see what a comment is saying here. Thank God you have a relationship with God to intercede on behalf of your clients. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. That's real talk. That's real talk. If social media is a trigger, I would definitely suggest limiting screen time and unfollowing people you feel the need to make.
Yes.
That's real.
That's a big trigger. Like for so many people, that's one of the main triggers that I meet with younger adults about, especially. And I feel like it's going to get even younger as, technology continues to be relevant to younger kids, because the whole comparison, like kids feel like they should have a certain amount of things at a certain age. So
that's big. That's a good comment.
Mm-hmm.
Because social media is taking over the world.
Yes.
And there's an addiction. They're going to need, you know how they NA and AA? They're going to need a social media group. So
I can attest
to detox.
You're scrolling, and then like your mind just wonders, like, oh, she's my age. How did she get doing that at her age? And maybe what am I doing wrong? And you just really have to stop those negative thoughts right then and remember, you don't know what this person had to do to get that. You don't know their backstory. You don't know anything. So right. I created screen time on my phone just to try to help me monitor and be mindful, because me being on my phone takes away from enjoying other areas of my life. So
yes,
that I agree.
That's true. That screen time pops up on the phone. You be like, huh? You be looking at, I did what? You had such and such a screen hours this week, or like, oh, really? Yeah. I mean, these phones got us connected to the big eye in the sky anyway. So, I mean, it's nothing under the sun they don't know, right. What you're doing or how you're doing it. But the effect that it's having on the young people, I mean, 2-year-olds have iPads. 3-year-olds know how to go into your iPhone.
Yes.
Take pictures, yes. My little grandson, oh my goodness, he's a genius and stuff. But I'm just saying, but one thing I like that my daughter monitors him. He certain TV, no ma, he has to come off of the TV. He's getting, no. That's too much TV. That's too much this. That's too much that, because it does a whole nother situation, even with adults. When we sit in the bed and watch TV and can't fall asleep. And it's a lot. It's a lot with the mental. It's so much with the mental. Let's do this quick little promo that I wanted to do. Don't move, my dear niece. Don't move. All right. So I know that was quick. I'll play. Okay, we're back. I had to play that because that is what's going on in Pastor Sheila's world on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Friday mornings. I've been called to pray for years. So the Lord has put a push on me, because in this day and this time, we need prayer, and we need to intercede. We need to pray for our families. We also need to intercede on worldly affairs and other people. And so I had to be obedient. I mean, of course, my prayer life is my own, but inside my own space. But there are times when God will put me in the public space and cause people to join in, to pray and to intercede for other people. Because I think sometimes we're just a bit too selfish with our time. And, it's a lot going on in the world. And so we have to just say a prayer for others, intercede. And that's my job to do that. So I'll play that at the end. Let's talk about, also, you guys can buy me a coffee. I'm learning these YouTube things. You can buy me a coffee on my banner. There's a yellow cup that you can go and buy me a coffee. I can put it on the streamer. And if those of you that are watching and you're just coming here and you don't know me and you haven't subscribed, please hit the thumbs up. Hit the thumbs up. Go ahead and hit that thumbs up and hit the subscribe button and help me move forward in these streets. Let's talk about PTSD. That is huge.
It is. So PTSD, I've seen it more often recently as people become aware that PTSD doesn't mean you went off to war or you had to experience something drastic.
Mm-hmm.
What it does mean is if you experience trauma and it's affected you longer than 6 months or more in areas of sleep, insomnia, flashbacks, being unable to function like you would normally, experiencing hypervigilance, here doing certain things, all of that, even 2 of those could allow you to meet the criteria for a diagnosis of PTSD. I met with someone who had PTSD from being in a car accident, and she experienced not being able to, being scared to drive, being scared to ride with someone. It sounds like you experienced some PTSD with your accident.
I have.
Yes.
I've had a lot of trauma in my life, a lot of traumatic, but again, I couldn't identify it until I became an adult. I mean, when my husband got killed at the age of 17, that was the onset of my first experience of trauma, the PTSD. But of course, we didn't put a label on it and I didn't know it, but my behavior actually showed that something was off, right? But so instead of understanding what was off, I was being labeled, of not being where I'm supposed to be, not doing what I'm supposed to do, not being home enough. My behavior expressed something's off. And all I could say was, I'm depressed, or I couldn't really articulate what I was doing, why I was doing. I felt a disconnect from my children. I had not dealt with the murder, right? That initial thing. So I wasn't old enough to really articulate, or I didn't have people around me to say, well, you know what, this kid, because I was still a young girl, she needs help. She needs more help. And because I couldn't identify it, and the family really couldn't identify, because remember, back then things were different, right? My house was full of love. We had love, love, love. My mother was about, I'm going to love you back, right? And love never fails. We know what the word of God says, right? That love never fails. She was about love, 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 and I got her. But the natural part of what I needed in terms of a professional probably could have put some pieces in place for me. So my PTSD was spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning until quite old, and I was just masking, I guess, and getting through it, because we as women, we do what we have to do. You get up, you go to work. You get up, you wash the clothes, you cook, you this, you that, you're a wife, you this, that, you're a corporate person, blah, blah, blah. And all underneath all of that, you have this other stuff screaming out, and no one really understands. So yeah, I didn't find out till much later that I had that, was dealing with that.
That's so true. Everything you just said was so true. It's so easy for women, especially Black women, to just mask it and move on. Mask anything, any type of trauma, and move on.
Yeah.
Not knowing how it's affecting you. It's coming out in other areas. Like,
yeah. Absolutely. And it's a hard place to be in. It's a hard place to live there in your own mental, right? It's a hard place to I did a show the other day. I just was impromptu. My sister Inay,
Mm-hmm.
she's so awesome. She's always here with me. She came on and I did a impromptu show, just a pop-up, and it was about, have you ever been misunderstood?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I felt the need to talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, it had been on my heart, but number two, it was a lot of things going on in the YouTube world.
Mm-hmm.
And being misunderstood is a deep thing, because if you don't understand, I learned years ago that I don't have to like what you did or like what you said, but I can understand why you did it, because you're not in somebody else's shoes. Like, you don't know why they did it.
Yeah.
I don't have to like it. And so being misunderstood for so long back then, when we're talking about this time in my life, I was totally misunderstood. And it was difficult because there was nobody to bounce off of.
Yes. It was not normalized. I talk about that now, that this whole notion of children should be seen and not heard. And nobody's asking you, are you okay? Or let's talk about it. How do you feel? How did it
Mm.
feel? I know I told you, you're in trouble, but how do you feel about how I
Right.
to you? Now we're more vocal about allowing people and asking
Yes.
them, how do you feel? Back then,
Yes.
not so much at all.
Yes. Yes. That is so, oh my goodness. Yeah. When we grew up, we couldn't be vocal. It was like, it's what I said, and you don't have nothing to say after what I say.
See? It's, me
Yeah.
too. I grew up in like most of that era, and now I think since I've become more informed, I'm more open to. Well, I went to therapy before to try to get some better parenting skills, to try to figure out how to communicate with my child in a more effective way.
Right.
I don't want to experience stuff that my parents experienced with me, because
Right.
I didn't talk, or I didn't feel comfortable asking something.
Yes. It's so deep, because it helps develop you as a child and then into a teen and into a young woman. Let's look at some of the comments. I think I saw your father-in-law in here. First, let me do this one. Social media, did we read this one? Yes, we did, right?
Yes.
I thought I saw another one pop up. Yeah, that one. But we did that one. I saw your father-in-law, I think. Hold on. I don't want to overlook him. He was commending you. Where did he go? Great information, daughter-in-law. Here we go.
Oh, my mother-in-law.
Your mother-in-law. I know I read a quick one. I didn't know if it said, okay, it's your mother-in-law. Nice lady. Nice lady. Yeah. So, yeah. So as we talk about mental health, um, we just want people to be more aware of and pay attention to their own mental health, mental wealth,
Yes.
right? Being wealthy up here in your mind, because life can really, really throw some curveballs, no matter how old you are, right? And the more sound and sober we are in our mind will give us and enable us the ability to manage and have maintenance on ourselves. How do we have maintenance? How do we do that for ourselves daily?
I would say just being aware.
Mm,
Being aware. I was talking to my husband earlier about my relationship with my mom. Due to how it's been in the past, it's like really hard for me to try to be emotional there. Like
mm,
I'm trying to be more aware. I've noticed that I don't give her as much grace as I may give somebody else if they don't do something. So no, we don't have to be best friends, but I'm aware of it, and I'm trying to do something different. So I think
that's
as long as you're aware, that's the first step. You don't have to, fix everything.
right.
Be aware, because it's about you and not them.
That's so cool. That's powerful. That's powerful because that's big of you. Because when nothing changes, but you made a change, right? Like you said, you can't go back and untie stuff and loop it up and tie it up and fix it, but you can give, when you noticed how you responded to someone else and not to her. You're like, okay, I do need to give her a little bit more grace. You know why? Because you've become an adult
Yes.
and you're a woman now, and you realize that your mom is not just your mom, she's a woman.
Yes.
Her story is her story,
Yes.
right? Whatever she went through, whatever way she segued to today, that was her thing, right? I'm sure she has those thoughts we talked about. Like as you get older, you start thinking about what you did, what you didn't do, how you could have changed it, right? And so what happens is with women, and I really commend you on that, niece. You know, you give grace.
Mm-hmm.
We have to offer grace to people, right? We always have to have that grace thing moving forward because we all need it. We all need grace. But I love the fact that you're healthy in your emotions, and you know,
Mm-hmm.
and it takes a while, and I'm so grateful that you're young and you're fixing things, right? You're young, and you know, you're such an incredible example, right? With your children, you're a wife now, you have your own business, you know, you've gone to school, you've done your thing. Yep, I'm giving you more bravos. I'm gonna always give you bravos, right? Yes, I am. I sure am. But yes, yes, yes. But you're saying like daily, we need to just check ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
What could I have done better? Or if I did something to offend somebody, I need to go back and fix that, right? You just don't leave stuff, people wounded on the side of the road.
No.
We have to learn forgiveness. And I tell people all the time, it's hard for you to forgive, but through Christ you can. Through God, He'll help you forgive. Have you ever had to pray for someone who has done you wrong? Ooh,
Yes.
girl.
It's
Ooh, you talking about hard. In your own flesh, in your own might, you be like, because they really messed up big time. God. And then you start referring them to the Lord. They belong to you. That's your people. That's your child. Trying to rationalize why you don't have to pray for someone or whatever. But what it is God stretches us, right? He
Mhm.
continuously stretches us. And the more we say we love God, you know, we're a believer, there are going to be some challenges. He's going to say, oh, you are? Let me see if you really are a believer. Let me see. And so as you say, God, help me to pray for this person. God, help me. Refer it to God. Help me to get through this trigger. Help me to get through this depression. God, help me. So we put the God piece in there. You only have a half a mile to go. I really believe that. You don't have him in that piece, you're gonna get, you know, it's gonna be like a little wow, right? Because he's the maker of all things, right? He wired us. So when you put him in the mix, he can help us with triggers. He can help us with PTSD. He can show us who to talk to. He can help us with postpartum blues and postpartum depression.
Mhm.
Oh my God. I just love having these chats with you. I'm telling you, I think that these chats help people, you know, women, men alike, so
Mhm.
much, so very much. And I forgot to tell you guys to get your cool beverage. Today I am drinking bubbly blueberry sparkling water. I don't know what you have. You might have a cocktail. I don't really care. It's your business. But I was supposed to tell you to bring your cool beverage. You know, when you come with Bravo, you got to bring your cool beverage. So, what would you like to say to women and men in closing about what we talked about in terms of the topic dark nights? These dark nights. If you're having dark nights, I'm telling you, these, you know, nighttime is a rough time. Because
Mhm.
I don't know if you know, I don't want to get too deep, but because you know, at nighttime, that's when the demonic forces are at play, and people who don't pray to God, to pray to that other person. A lot is going on in the atmosphere. That's a lot of spiritual dynamic warfare I'm not going to get into. But darkness, right? Darkness is deep, right?
Yes.
That's why the Lord said, let there be light, because the light interrupts darkness. So when you bring light to you, that darkness has to move. So, what would you say to some of the people that will see this, that are listening? Those of you in the chat, we are so grateful that you are here tonight with us. Share a little bit about what you would like to say.
I would encourage people to get a support system.
Mm,
Often people want to do things alone, and it's just not possible. You need a support system through everything. And I think that's what gets me through dark nights, gets anyone, that one friend you can call on, just to speak life into you, to do anything to support you in that time.
Yeah.
Support systems go a long way when you feel alone. And at night, you who is that? Bobby Womack? If you think you're lonely now,
Oh,
wait.
see, no, wait. I know your father laughing now. But your father must be laughing in the chat on Facebook because he plays all those old songs. You got all those old songs in your mind. If you're lonely now.
Yeah.
Oh man, wait until the night. Listen, nighttime is no joke. That's when things get quiet. That's when people like myself that live alone, or older people, or seniors, or just people who are alone or waiting for their mate to show up. And those of you single women out there, remember the very thing that's looking for you, that you're looking for, is looking for you. The person that you're looking for is looking for you. Listen to me.
I like that.
Y'all gonna run into each other. It has to happen because the Lord put us here to be what? With someone, not alone, right? But dark nights can bring all types of things. So help yourself. If you feel like you're getting depressed, if you feel like you're sinking, if you haven't talked to people in a long time, this COVID thing took this whole thing to a whole another level with loneliness, right? Not having someone to communicate. If you have children in the house, at least the interaction is with children. If you have a husband, if you have a mother-in-law, but if you're alone and you live alone, you have to find a way to entertain yourself and to keep your sanity and to stay sober in your mind. And you have to do things intentionally, on purpose. You know, if triggers start popping up and things start to if they start haunting you and harassing your soul, as they say in the islands, you're harassing my soul. When things start to harass you, listen, talk to someone, pray. I think there's a comment that the Black woman is expected to be strong for everyone. Yeah, that's so true.
Yes.
That's so true. But we have to learn how to reach out and get help, or so give us your handle, give us the name of your business, your company.
Okay.
You do Zoom calls. I know you're in North Carolina, but you are available through virtual
Yes.
counseling as well. So let's do everything. I don't have a moderator yet. I'm going to say that till the Lord send me one. And we're going to type your stuff in the chat. Let's see if I can post it as you say it.
Okay.
Yeah. So talk while I do this.
My business is Peaceful Minds, and my social media tag is at Peaceful Minds.
Hold on. Peaceful Minds. Oh, Lord, what did I type?
You want me to send it to you on there, on the chat?
Say that again. Oh, you did it. Okay. You
send
did it, right?
We'll do it now.
Okay, yeah, you do it. Type it in. And they says, thank you. Thank you, Ine. Bless you, sis. So it went in the private chat.
And then maybe you can copy and paste it.
I think so. But we're going to have Ashley back. While you're doing that, I'll talk to the folks. Ashley will be back once a month to chat about mental health. And while she's doing that, I will put this up for a second so that you guys can actually see this this promo. All right. That is the promo for. Did you type it in? Thank you so much. Listen, we've had a great time. I know that you really will talk about what I want you guys to do. I want you to email me at bravowithsheila@gmail.com. And I want you guys to tell me some topics that you would like to talk about. Please send me an email. As a matter of fact, Ine, I wanted to talk with you more, just to get to know you a little bit more. You are showing up for me so much. Those of you in Facebook, Donovan Martin is on. Thank you so much for being here. Vernell, bless you, Queen. Bless all of you. Shell Bell, God bless you. Yona, Antoinette, my brother Eddie. Thank you guys for being there. The rest of you I don't see on Facebook, but if you're there and I didn't mention your name, bless you. Listen, dark nights, dark moments in life, we have to deal and face with things that haunt us, the dark nights and the mental battles, right? We all are living on this earth doing so many different things every day, trying to move forward for our families, for ourselves, for business. Many businesses were erected during the pandemic. Listen, I'm telling you, if you have something you're sitting on, just go ahead and do it. Just go ahead and step into it. That will help your mental. Trust me. That's why I stay busy. It helps your mental. It helps you feel like you're a part of the world, like you're not being stuck. You're in the mix. You're doing something. It could be anything. Don't think that you cannot do something because of your age or because you didn't go to finish school. Don't let anything block you. Make your ceilings your floors. I said, make your ceilings your floors. Shatter the ceilings that stop you from progressing, stop you from being who you want to be and who God has purposed you to be. So Ashley will be back. We're going to get another date for her, but please send me an email. So you gave them everything. You gave them your handle. You gave them your phone number. Please give them whatever you need to give them. Now, the next time she comes on, I will attach the 1-800 hot numbers. We need to have the hot numbers, the hotline numbers, when we have these type of conversations dealing with mental health, so that we can leave you with some resources. But if you need resources, you can you can send an email to me, Bravo with Sheila, or Sheila Ingram Ministries at gmail.com. Again, I want you ladies to send me some information on what you'd like to talk about, what you'd like to do. Facebook, thank you so much for being here. You guys always show up for me, and I appreciate your presence tonight. Listen, Ashley, last word. Give a last word, a last strong word.
Last strong word. Be the change that you want to see in others.
My niece is powerful. My niece is deep. Say that again.
Be the change that you want to see in others. I'm talking to myself too.
You're talking to all of us. You're talking to all of us. So, ladies and gentlemen, it has been a blast. Remember, when nothing changes, nothing changes. And what do you have to do? You got to keep it moving. Just keep it moving. That's all I'm saying. Just keep it moving, and things will get better, and you'll be able to move into your grace and the things that God has called you to do. Remember, if you haven't hit that like button, hit that thumbs up. Go ahead. It takes 1 second. Don't even take a second. Just pick your finger up and hit the thumbs up. You just subscribe and hit the thumbs up and hit that bell, so that when I'm going live, you will know when we're going live. Facebook, God bless you. Thank you so much, my dear niece.
Thank
I
you.
salute you. I salute you, my dear sweet niece. Stay right there. Don't move. Ciao.